Very good afternoon, everybody. Today is the third day, and this is the afternoon, evening session of presentations. In this session, let us have a look at the topics on which the students are going to make the presentation. We'll have first one by ROZMIN PATHAN, and it will be on time and disruption in modernist literature. After that, NIRALI will make a presentation on mythology in modern literature. It will be followed by Krishna BARAIYA's presentation on the psychological effects of war in Yeats's On Being Asked for a War poem. You have to start on O also with apostrophe. On Being Asked for a War poem is a title, so it should be very clearly reflected. You need not put inverted comma around the entire title. That title is understood. But within the title, if there is a text, you have to make it under inverted comma. SHATAKSHI's presentation will be on the role of nature and landscape in Orlando Symbolism, places like Cornell House. No, this is not a proper title. You need to rework on drafting a proper title. SRUSHTI's presentation on deconstructing identity, gender and androgyny in Woolf's Orlando. Orlando, if you are using Orlando as a title of the novel, then you have to put it in single-thread comma. Otherwise, it looks like a character. Okay? SRUTI's on lighting the cave, Woolf, Sackville-West, and the fluidity of love and identity in Orlando. SMRUTI's will be on the observer versus the experiencer, Tiresias and Orlando's relationship with time. TANVI's will be on the Westland and the digital age, Eliot's modernism versus cyber dystopias. MANASI will present on T.S.Eliot's Westland by R.J. Owens. It will be The Westland, full title of the T.S.Eliot's. Okay? But again, by R.J. Owen, that is not a proper title. So title should be about what you are talking about. Not only what it is, but what it is about. That should be reflected in the title. Mita will be making it on the role of mythology in the Westland. Sagar on the American dream in the Great Gatsby, illusion versus reality. Nikita on modernism in the Great Gatsby. Devangini on the jazz age and Fitzgerald's critique of modern society. Nishtha on materialism, morality, and the American dream in the Great Gatsby. And the last one will be by Rajdeep on ambition and corruption, a comparative analysis of the Great Gatsby and the Wolf of Wall Street. Okay, so let us start with the first presentation. ROZMIN, you can start.
Hello everyone. My presentation topic about the time is disruptions in the modernist literature. Explore how time is fragmented and redefined in T.S. Eliot's The Westland, Virginia Woolf's Orlando, and the James Joyce's Ulysses. My subtitle Explore the Westland, Orlando, and Ulysses. That is my personal information. Research question. My research question about how do modernist texts like The Westland, Orlando, and Ulysses challenge a linear time to represent a psychological and the cultural distortions. Hypothesis: Modernist texts challenge a linear time by employing a fragmented narrative stream of consciousness and temporal fluidity. These techniques reflect the psychological turmoiling of the individual and the cultural destructions of the early 20th century, showing time as a subjective and a social contrast experience rather than a fixed sequence. Table of content. First, introduction to the modernism and time. Modernist writers reject traditional linear storytelling, opening for a fragmented, non-linear structure that reflect a human truth, the historical disillusionment. Influence include Sigmund Freud's whose theories of the subconscious inspire stream of consciousness writers. Albert Einstein's theory of relativity reshapes the presence of time, introduced the idea that time is not abstract but a reality. World War One trauma, the advancements of World War One shattered a traditional belief in progress and the stability. Time as a subjective, fragmented, and distractions. In the Westland, Eliot used intertextuality and abstract time shift to describe the culture Daisy. Woolf's Orlando portrayed a time as a field, with a protagonist spanning a cultural without engaging. Joyce's Ulysses comparisons a epic journey into a single day, reflecting a subjective time theory, memory, and a presence. Second, modernist technique and their functions. Modernist writer employing specific narrative techniques to describe the time stream of consciousness in Ulysses present a time as a field reflecting a psychological process rather than an objective plurality. Myth and historical college in the Westland. Mars reflects reference from a different time periods in instructions, cultural destructions, time travel and identity fluidity in Orlando. Challenge a fixed historical narrative showing time as a contrast rather than a abstract reality. The Westland by T.S.Eliot. Eliot described the time by a past, present, and a future, interweaving a myth, literature, and a contemporary desire to the creator create a sense of historical disruptions. The poems announce the Shakespeare's and Hindu Upanishads dissolves the temporal boundaries, reinforcing a theme of cultural collapse and the renewal. Time in the Westland reflect both individual memory and the large background of Western civilizations after the World War One. The famous line, "This fragment I have scored against my ruin," uh, about the poem and the modernist experience. Orlando by Virginia Woolf. Wolf Orlando subvert a traditional time by allowing its protagonist to live for centuries without gang, symbolize the fluidity of the personal and historical identity. The novel blend historical and personal time, suggesting that history is subjective rather than an objective square of an event. Orlando's gender transformation reinforced the idea that identity, like a time, is not fixed but a contently evolved. Woolf's critique regard temporally and social structures emphasize the non-linear nature of a human experience as the novel status. The time unfortunately thought in makes animals and vegetables bloom and feed with amazing punctuality has not such a simple effect upon the mind of man. Ulysses by James Joyce. Joyce's comparison a epic narrative into a one day stretching a subjective time thought, a multiple timelines stream of consciousness allow a past memories to interest upon the present beauty temper boundaries. The novel's Homeric portrait a Marge acting epic with a modern reality, using how a mythic and everyday time conflicts. The line hold to the now, the here, through which all future clings to the past. Emphasize the joyous experience of time's fluidity. Psychological impact on time disruptions. Modernist literature mirror affected consequences, referencing the instability of identity and reality. Techniques like a stream of consciousness, blur distractions between a past and present, mirror the experience, trauma, and memory. The use of nonlinear narrative and temporal shift not only a challenge traditional storytelling but also immerse the readers in the distractions, psychological status, and status of characters, mirroring the complexity of modern life. Cultural distractions, historical interpretation. Disruptions liner time modernist literature challenging a historical continuity and a cultural stability. The Westland reflect the post-World War I disillusionment, its fragmented structure, mirror the era's instability. Orlando's question fixed historical narratives, suggesting that identity and the time are fluid. Ulysses contained life into a single day, showing how a modern consequence is preparing a multiple layer of time in a simple way. This text reject historical determinations, redefined the history and identity as ever changing consequences. Conclusion. Modernist texts describe the linear time to reflect the inner consequences and the refilled of the memory, capturing the complexity of individual perspective. By a fragmentation time, these work also convey a cultural existential and the social dislocation, mirroring the uncreativity of the modern era. Individually, they challenge the rigid historical narrative, questioning fixed nations of progress, identity, and the reality. Literature become a space where time in the reshaped, allowing for new interpretations of history, selfhood, and the experience. By rejecting a chronological structure, modernist writer revolutionizes narrative form, emphasize the subjective and the dynamic nature of human consequences over a fixed objective chronology. That is my reference. Thank you. Do you have any question?
So my question for you is time disruption a critique of modern life?
Yes, time disruptions is a critic of modern life as a modern as a writer say that uh, for example in the Westland, for example in the uh, Westland narrative use historical context in his work. They focus on the time descriptions in as a mechanical form.
ROZMIN, my question is, how does time disruption affect the reader?
Time disruptions affect the reader as a narrative try to readers focus achieve in his work. For example, in the Ulysses, Joyce used the stream of consciousness narrative. They try to readers focus the characters thought and ideas. They tried to they was try narrative was tried to readers was affected by his work. Thank you.
Yes, I'm still seeing, yeah, next can come. I'm seeing that everybody has not given the peer self-evaluation. Who is missing? Have you checked your mail? Have you received the mail back after you have submitted? And hmm, 2, 3 video recording yesterday. But many of you have already done yesterday's. Even the first day also. Anybody missing from first day? Have you checked your mail? You have to check, you have to follow the steps. You have to check and see whether there is any mistake or not. Somebody might be making a mistake. It might be 1 or 2 students only. But we have to check everybody. If to catch who is that 1 or 2 students. If you check your both the mails and see how are you submitting your email, this videos, first day, you have to put it on a timestamp page near your name. Who were there for the first day? Yes, you put the link there in the on the timestamp page near the title, or you can link with the title also. Put a link with the title, so that also you will learn how to link title with YouTube link. And SRUSTI and SHRUTI, 3 were there, no, on the first day. Okay, put here. Then who were yesterday? KRISHNA, BARAIYA, MANASI, Mita, these 3. Okay, so you also, you prepared your video? So then link here. Mita, MANASI, your topic also is missing from timestamp page. Put a topic and your video. And check quickly on the first day also who is missing from giving this. And this you can edit and give. The last 3 videos or other thing, you can edit your feedback. Don't resubmit the entire feedback. Okay? You have to edit if you have already submitted once. Yes, you can start.
Hello, I'm NIRALI VAGHELA. Today I'm going to present mythology in modern literature, my academic information, table of content, research question. How does mythology influence modern literature, and in what ways do contemporary authors reinterpret mythological themes to reflect modern concern? Hypothesis. Mythology continues to shape modern literature by providing foundational narrative and archetypes that authors reinterpret to address contemporary social, psychological, and philosophical themes. The adaptation of mythological elements allow writers to explore universal human experience while reshaping traditional myths to fit modern context. Introduction. The term mythology originated from the term myth originated from Greek mythos, meaning a definitive statement about reality. Types of myths. Uh, Theogonic myth explain the origin of gods. Cosmogonic myths describe the creation of the universe. iconogenic myths address human creation. Astral and meteorological myths explain celestic and natural phenomena. Transformation myths deal with change in the world, often caused by divine intervention. Uh, Soteriological myths focus on salvation and redemption. Ecological myths concern the end of time and final judgment. Evolution of the mythology. 18th century thinkers viewed myth as a product of a human imagination and emotion. Romantics show myth as a fundamental to civilization. 19th century scholars developed comparative mythology and psychological interpretation. 20th century theories include Freud's idea of myth as a repressed desire and Jung's concept of archetypes. Greek mythology. Greek mythology is a collection of the uh, gods and legend. And the major figures in the Greek mythology is Zeus, Poseidon, Apollo, Cupid, and the theme exploration of Greek mythology is fate and human relationship with mortals, and God's relationship with mortals, and mm, uh, influence of Greek mythology in literature. Till we have faces by C.S. Lewis and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Eugene O'Neill's Morning Become Electra, T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, James Joyce's Ulysses. Norse mythology. And Norse mythology is a tree of non-real like Asgard, Midgard, and Hel. And the major figures in the Norse mythology is Odin, Thor, and Loki. And the Norse mythology explore a theme like fate and heroism, and and uh, the major myth in the Norse mythology is Ragnarok. Influence of Norse mythology in literature. Tolkien's The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and the Marvel's movie Thor. Egyptian mythology. Egyptian mythology is a collection of Egyptian stories, and the major figures in the Egyptian story is Ra, Orisis, Isis, and Seth. And Egyptian mythology focus on afterlife, and mm, and Egyptian mythology tells story that world is created by none. And influences of the Egyptian mythology in literature. The Ken Chronicles by Rick Riordan, Ancient Evening by Norman Mailer, That Comes as the End by Agatha Christie, River God by Wilbur Smith, The Egyptologist by Arthur Phillips. Chinese mythology. Chinese mythology prominent feature water gods, and Chinese mythology as a theme yin and yang is symbolized as darkness and light. In normal life, the good in bad and bad in good. And influence of Chinese mythology in literature. Journey to the West and the investiture of the gods. Japanese mythology is a explain Shinto and Buddhism, and the main figures in the Japanese mythology is Japanese mythology story is like two figures, Inzami and Inzagi, and their daughter Amaterasu, and they created a world. And the Japanese mythologies uh, uh, themes like fate and Japanese mythology is influenced by uh, novel, anime, manga, and films. Influence of Japanese mythology in literature. Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. The Goddess Chronicle by Natsuo Kirino. Storm Dancer by J. Christoph. Indian mythology. Indian mythology is hmm, uh, Indian mythology is a collection of the Indian gods and legends. And in Indian mythology, there is Trimurti like mm, creator, preserver, and destroyer. And recorded texts of Indian mythology like Vedas and Mahabharata, Ramayana. Uh, and the themes of exploration by Indian mythology is karma, dharma, and liberation. Influence of Indian mythology in literature. Siddhartha by Herman Hesse. 18 Day by Grant Morris. Avatar film by James Cameron. Shikhandi and Other Tales They Don't Tell You by Devdutt Patnaik. Conclusion. Mythology remains a vital influence on modern literature, providing timeless themes, archetypes, and narratives that authors reshape to address contemporary issues. From Greek and Norse mythology to Egyptian and Indian legends, this ancient story continue to inspire new interpretation across various genres. By blending mythology with modern perspective, writer preserve cultural heritage while exploring universal human experience, ensuring that myth remain relevant and meaningful in the today's storyline. Resources. Thank you. Any question?
So, as you have dealt with various mythologies, so my question for you is, what are the similarities between Greek mythology and Indian mythology?
The similarity between Indian mythology and Greek mythology is Greek figures like Zeus and Indian figures like Indra. They both have same power, thunder, and in Greek, Poseidon and Indian Varun, and Greek Hem and Indian Yamras. Like they same have power, and in both mythology, gods and legends are same, and the epics are same, similar, and mm, next.
What are T.S. Eliot's view in mythology?
T.S. Eliot's view in mythology. T.S. Eliot think mythology as thematic element in literature, and in mythology it a framework with through uh, 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 T.S. will you think that mythology is not just ancient story but a living tradition, and with mythology we can tell modern people how to live. He give text about the wasteland. Thank you.
Amita, have you checked your responses? But the emails, is there any mistake in your? Hmm? Buddha, have you checked your email? Is there any error? Have you received both the emails? Huh? Why another not received? Which one you have not received? Hmm? yesterday? Check in the spam folder. 66919, no? That is Jambucha 66919. That is your email ID, no? Check spam folders in that. But you have already submitted. Here it is showing that you. Krishna, you have submitted? I'm not getting your email ID in the list.
Yes, sir.
You submitted with which email ID?
Krishna BARAIYA.
But with Krishna, I'm not getting any other email. That's why we ask you, no, that you put your proper names in the email ID. Don't put any fancy things, gear or lion or whatever it is. But આપણા માટે કઈ કામનું નથી હોતું. આપણે આ બધું કામ જોવું શોધવાનું હોય છે. ત્યારે પછી ક્યાં વાઘ વરુ ને ગોતવા જવા. એટલે પહેલેથી કહેતા હોય ફર્સ્ટ સેમેસ્ટરમાં વિદ્યાર્થી તો એને એમ થતું હશે કે આ અમારે જે રાખવું હોય નામ રાખે, તમને શું વાંધો છે, અમને આ વાંધો છે, પછી કઈ મળે નહીં. આમાં ઘણી મજૂરી કરવાની હોય બધું. એટલે સમજે તમે આવતી સાલ નવા વિદ્યાર્થી હોય ને બરાબર સમજાવજો કે આવું ન રખાય, પછી હેરાન થવું પડે. ત્યારે ન સમજ આવે કે શું કામ સર એમ કે છે કે તમારું પહેલું નામ છેલ્લું નામ હોવું જોઈએ. મીતાથી આપણે શોધીએ તો કઈ મળે જ નહીં, કારણ કે નામ જ ન રાખ્યું હોય એમણે, મીતા એવો ઉપયોગ જ ન કર્યો હોય. જાંબુચા તો કેટલાય આવીને જતા હોય, બધા ભેગા થઈને કેટલી બેચ અત્યાર સુધીમાં પૂરી થઈ હોય. બટ દેટ્સ વોટ કે આટલી સિમ્પલ વસ્તુ પણ વિદ્યાર્થી સમજતા નથી હોતા કે શું કામ તમને એમ કહેવામાં આવે છે કે યોર પ્રોપર નેમ, ફર્સ્ટ નેમ, લાસ્ટ નેમ શુડ બી ઇન ઈમેલ આઈડી. એ એમ કીધું એટલે એમ જ હોવું જોઈએ. એમાં એનો કોઈ એમાં આપણે ક્યાંય ધ્વનિ શોધવાની નથી, એમાં ક્યાંય અલંકાર શોધવાનો નથી. એમાં જે કહેવાયું છે એ જ અર્થ લેવાનો છે, એનો બીજો ત્રીજો ચોથો અર્થ લેવાનો જ નથી. ફર્સ્ટ નેમ, લાસ્ટ નેમ એ ન હોય તો you have to put some digits. Then you have to put some digits so you can get that ID only. Teach this properly to the new students. When they will be coming here giving the online test, some of you might be there volunteering to teach them. So then try to tell them that why when you register for your online test, when you join Google Classroom, don't join with your brother's email ID, not with your father's email ID, which many of you have done in first semester. But your email ID, if it is not there, quickly prepare. It takes 2 minutes only to start or to prepare your own personal email ID. It is not that you have to go to NASA and learn about rocket engineering and then you come back to India and then you know how to prepare email ID. It doesn't require rocket engineering to have an email ID also. But such skills, basic skills also, we are surprised કે ગ્રેજ્યુએટ થયેલા વિદ્યાર્થીઓમાં એટલી પણ સ્કિલ્સ કેમ નથી હોતી. And then we have to waste our time. That's why we are worried. Otherwise, you can have whatever you want, but because we want to check the things, we can't find the things properly. So Krishna's mail also I'm not able to find in yesterday's or today's also. and others also, those who have, without watching the videos, if you have submitted the three, then also it is a wrong thing. તમારે વિડીયો જોઈ સાંભળીને ઇવેલ્યુએશન કરવાનું છે, એમને એમ નથી કરી નાખવાનું. તો એ આપણે નથી શીખવાનું કે જોયું કે ન જોયું માર્ક આપી દો ને, કે આ તો બહુ ખરાબ શીખવાડ્યું કહેવાય જો અમે આવું શીખવાડતા હોઈએ તો, કે જોવાની જરૂર નથી, માર્ક આપી દો. So those who have given the score without watching the videos, that also is not fair. We have still not received the video link. Yes, have you given, everybody? Yes, Mita has given, Mansi has given, Krishna has yet not given.
No,
Yesterday's, this.
No, sir. I'm just working, but my presentation time is coming, so.
Okay, so Rajdeep, yesterday, SRUSTI, yesterday's, well, previous day, SRUTI, link is not there. SRUSTI, your link also for the first day. You have to check your mail to see. If you have not received the mail, you have to inform that what has gone wrong. You check all your folders. Sometimes it will be an update folder or another folder or spam folder. And then you see that the response is properly recorded or not. Yes, you can start now. Yes,
So hello everyone. Today I'm going to dealing with presentation topic, the psychological effect of war in Yeats' poem On Being Asked for a War Poem. This is my personal information, table of contents, and then research question and hypothesis. Research question: how does William Butler Yeats' On Being Asked for a War Poem reflect his ambivalence toward war, artistic integrity, and the psychological impact of conflict? Then hypothesis: Yeats' refusal to write a traditional war poem demonstrates his belief that poetry should remain independent from political and nationalistic propaganda. His work reflects a deep sense of moral conflict, disillusionment with war, and commitment to artistic integrity, while also highlighting the lasting psychological trauma caused by violence. Introduction. So, William Butler Yeats write a war poem, On Being Asked for a War Poem, in 1915. So, that time, so many people who believe in war and war as a glorious thing, and he also he also suggests to poets who write a war poetry, suggests to write a war poem, and say also that war described as a glorious and heroic theme. But Yeats' thought is very totally different, and he pressurized by society, but he write a war poem and not describe war as a glorious thing, but he described that how type condition is created after the war, and that which type consequences and struggle and pain is faced by people. Then historical context, World War I and Irish nationalism. Beginning of 20th century, two main events was created during that time. First World War I and second Irish conflict about for take independence. So first World War I. During the World War I, so many big countries are included in this war, and soldiers also use the ditches to fight with each other, and so many people's means soldiers and peoples also die during this ditches fighting, and I think 10 lakhs peoples also died during this World War I. Irish nationalism. The first when starting the Irish fight for his independence,
don't agree with them, because they believe that it's not right, and we will not success. But uh, uh, when when he know about behavior during Ireland, with Ireland of the British Empire, so that time they also starting to active to get success in independence. And in the 1922 he get Ireland get independence from the British Empire. Then Yeats ambivalence during the two events. Yeats also very confused, because he uh, he uh, he pressurized, and he also confused that he write a war poem or not. He describe war as a glorious thing, or write about conflict and reflecting a internal struggle. Then the poetic dilemma, a crisis of consequences, refusal to write. So first, Yeats not doesn't agree with to write a war poem as and describe as a glorious and heroic things. So the poem central conflict revolves around Yeats' refusal to write a war poem, grappling with a psychological burden, or bearing witness to suffering. Then moral responsibility. When yet see the show the uh, uh, consequences of war, and show the helplessness and loss of the people after the war. So that time he get a sense and felt sense that he should write something about to down pain of the war people. Yeah, and it's a is a responsibility as a poet. But he also questioning that is can poetry is down the pain of war. Then artistic integrity. He don't agree with uh, write a war poem, because he believed that poetry should be truthful and independent, not used for propaganda of politician. Then disillusionment and moral ambiguity. uh, he also very uh, disillusionment and moral ambiguity, because so many people's and society pressurized, and then awareness and skepticism. uh, he uh, Yet also feel the bond from the war. The poem tone reflect awareness, skepticism, and moral complexity, revealing a deep sense of disappointment. Then loss of innocence. During the world, first people's they have lived in a disillusionment, because he believed that war is a proudfully movement for a soldier, and we also we should uh, uh, describe as a glorious thing. It's very proudable. But when he saw the reality of war, so that time he felt and realized that its consequences is very dangerous. We can't achieve anything, and we only lose during the war. Questioning values. Yeats' poem also questioning to the society by his poem that really war is a glorious thing or not. The poem questions traditional value and belief in the face of unprecedented violence, challenging social norms. Then individual versus the collective psyche. Psychological impact. War deeply affect people's mental health. It causes fear, stress, and lasting trauma. Yet explore how both individuals and entire societies struggle to cope with horrors of war. Then alienation. War makes people feel isolated and detached. Soldier and civilians struggle to connect with other because of the pain and trauma they have experienced. Even those who are not fighting feel helpless and disconnected from the world. Then fractured psyche. Yet show that war breaks people's spirits. Not only do individuals suffer, but the whole society feel the effects. The war leaves people traumatized, confused, and emotionally broken, making it hard for them to return to a normal life. Trauma and memory. As I mentioned that after the consequences of war, it's very difficult because so many suffering and pain faced by people and soldier who a part of war. So it's very difficult to come back on to a normal life. So the poem grabs with the long-term psychological consequences of war, discussing post-traumatic stress and its effect on individual and social. Then long-term consequences. Some after the World War, consequences is a very long, because people is continuously live in pain and suffering. So these consequences is not just for some time, but this term is a continuously very long time. Then post traumatic stress is a one condition which create after the long after the World War One, which known as a shell shock. Then after now he's known as a PTSD, that means post traumatic stress disorder. It's also a very psychological condition. People is face the psychological condition in that like anxiety of nightmare and emotional numbs. Then poem is a describe also remembering trauma, because when people also during the remembering of World War's condition, and he's a suffering, so that time it's also difficulty to describe only. When just describing the event and remembering, so it's also difficult. So think that how many condition is the create during the World War. Then Yeats war poetry, uh, contextual understanding. Yeats also write an Irish airman forces his death. It's a other poem which also written by Yeats, and describes the thoughts of Yeats about war, which we can understand from the On Being Asked for a War poem. Evolving perspective. Yet complex and evolving perspective on war and violence, reflecting internal conflict and social pressures. Border understanding. These poems contribute to a broader understanding of the psychological, bring insight into human suffering. Then conclusion. In conclusion, On Being Asked for a War poem stand as a testament or to Yeats' profound understanding of war's psychological impact, reminding us of the enduring relevance of art in grappling with trauma and promoting peace. This is the references, and thank you. Have any questions? So please ask me.
My question is, why is artistic integrity an important theme in Yeats' On Being Asked for a War poem?
Yes, Nirali. On being asked for a war poem, Yeats describe a thing as of because view opinion about war. It's Yeats. According to Yeats, they don't want to use the poetry as a political propaganda, because they believe that poetry should be uh, uh, independent and truthfully. So who wrote the poem about a glorious thing, described as a glorious thing. So they also say that poetry should not just a pleasure of other, but it's help to understanding deep of important of our life. Anybody?
Krishna, my question, how does it show the long-term effect of a war in his poetry?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Today I present the role of nature and landscape in Orlando, the symbol of place like Cornell House. These are my personal information. These are table of content. These are research question and hypothesis. Research question: how does Virginia Woolf use nature and landscape, particular Cornell House, to symbolize Orlando's evolving identity, gender transformation, and perception of time in Orlando? Hypothesis: Virginia Woolf employed the nature and landscape as a symbol of a reflection of Orlando's internal transformation, using elements like changing seasons, rivers, and gardens to parallel shift in gender and self-identity. Cornell House as a last structure of a represent both identity, both stability and social constraints, highlights the tension between personal evolution and historical traditions. Throughout these symbols would suggest the identity is a fluid yet deeply influenced by one's environment and history. Introduction: in a sound like you're referring to the role of nature and landscape in Orlando, Virginia Woolf novel, and how plays like Cornell House influence its symbolism. Nature and landscape in Orlando. Nature plays significant symbolic role in Orlando, reflecting theme of transformation, identity, and time. The landscape, the gardens, fields, the rivers often parallel Orlando's emotional and the gender shifts. The natural world is the both as a space of a freedom and witness for Orlando's evolving. These are pictures of a Cornell House. Cornell House, the ancestral home of the Vita Sackville-West, Woolf close friend and inspiration for Orlando, survive as the model for Orlando's West, East, and Est in a novel. This is the symbols. First, continuity and change. Virginia Woolf's Orlando is the novel deeply concerned with time, identity, and transformation. One of the most significant symbols of a continuity and change in the novels is Orlando's ancient house. Is the West historical Est is the serves as the both anchor and the reflection of the Orlando's involving self. Throughout the Orlando's house, Woolf explored the tension between permanence and fluidity, with enduring persons. The history alongside the personal and social transformation. This analysis will explore the how house represent continuity and change across the time, identity, and history. Second, gender and inherent. In Orlando, Virginia, Woolf explore how male inherent laws and gender roles impact property rights. Entirely as a man, Orlando benefits from male-dominated inherent laws, but after transforming into a woman, legal barriers 13 threaten her claim to property. These reflect the historical struggle where the women were denied inherentness and right dominance in the Gender and inherent, like the married woman's property acts challenge these restrictions, granting women financial independence, and original journeys highlight the evolution of gender and property rights, questioning religious and social norms tied to inherentness. Third, timelessness. In Orlando, Virginia, Woolf explores timelessness throughout the protagonist's ability to live in centuries without again significant Orlando's transition across historical period, experiencing different eras, cultures, and gender roles, symbolizing the fluid nature of time, identity, and extents. Wolf defies traditional inner time blending historical and fiction to empathize of a personal growth, creativity, and self disorder are endless and ever evolving. Orlando's journey reflects the immorality of arts, literature, and human experience expressions, making the novel itself a timeless exploration of identity and change. Conclusion. In conclusion, the Cornell House in Orlando symbolizes legacy, inherentness, and identity across time. Will inherentness favor men Orlando's ultimately reclaiming the house of a personal and historical continuity, reinforce of the wolf theme of timelessness and fluidity identity. These are my reference. Thank you. So anyone ask me to question?
My question is, how does Orlando's house function as a symbol of continuity throughout the novel?
Orlando house stay in stay same the line of everything change likes Orlando gender time period clothes and how and the past and present. Anyone?
So Satakshi, my question for you: how does Wolf contrast the stability of the house with Orlando's field experience of time and identity?
Orlando's house stay with strong and unchanging, just like Orlando's life. Orlando's life. Uh, Orlando's life. Cha- uh, Orlando's life a changing of here of a difference between identity and time. So thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I am presenting Virginia Woolf's Orlando, uh, Deconstructing Identity, Gender, and Androgyny in Woolf's Orlando. My academic information, table of contents, research question. How does Virginia Woolf's Orlando challenge a traditional concept, gender and androgyny? Hypothesis. Virginia Woolf's Orlando deconstructs traditional gender roles by portraying gender as fluid and performative rather than fixed and essential. Specifically, the novel employs Orlando's transformations, change in clothing, and shifting desire to demonstrate how gender is constructed through social practices and cultural expectations. Introduction. Woolf's Orlando is not entirely biographical, but it is a semi-biography of influenced by her relationship with Vita Sackville-West, and this biography is a parodic one, and it uses exaggeration and humor to make its point. It is also a kind of fictionalized account of her relationship with Vita Sackville-West. Uh, it explained through the unique lenses, and Woolf provides a sweeping view of English literature and politics while also deconstructing essentialist ideas about identity. Woolf and feminist identities. Woolf, we can see that she was one of great feminist in American literature, and her views are more complex. It is important to recognize that she doesn't always fit into contemporary feminist framework. Her varying critical perspectives on her theory of subjectivity in Orlando, and this is the topic that I am going to discuss about. Challenging essentialist views of self. One of the key thing of Woolf does in Orlando is question the idea of innate self. She asks whether our personalities are predetermined or shaped by our experiences. This is humorously framed by the question of whether clothes make the woman. Woolf suggests that there is a vacillation between sexes with each person, and clothes often serve to reinforce the appearance of one sex or other. Woolf censorship and the well of loneliness. The Well of Loneliness tells the story of Stephen Gordon, a woman who is born with masculine and identity, and she attracts toward another woman, and people are against her that she fell in love with a woman. So it addresses the censorship of Redcliffe Hall's The Well of Loneliness, and places it in the context of social attitude towards lesbianism, as we see that Virginia Woolf also fell in love with Vita Sackville-West, and in her novel Orlando also fell in love with same gender, and uh, the Well, which directly advocate to lesbianism, and Orlando, which used to satire. Historical context of androgyny. So we have that question that what is the meaning of androgyny? So androgyny refers to the blend of both masculine and the feminine characteristic in a person's appearance, behavior, or identity. It challenges traditional gender distinctions and embrace a more fluid or balanced expression of gender traits. It is important to remember that androgyny is expressed differently in a different historical context. In Orlando, the fullest expression of androgyny is found in the present moment. However, a room of ovens suggests that a present can also hinder androgynous creativity. Androgyny as a key theme. Uh, Orlando is a significant exploration of gender and androgyny. Woolf present a concept of identity that goes beyond the physical sex of the body. When Orlando changes sex, it's sudden, but Woolf emphasizes that Orlando remains fundamentally the same. This suggests that our identity isn't solely defined by our physical form. Androgyny in a room of one's own. Uh, Here, Woolf represents mental androgyny as a kind of ideal, often associated with a heterosexual union. See drawn on the romantic idea of androgynous fusion and Coleridge's concept of androgynous great minds as essential for creativity. Woolf felt that sex conscious present was an obstacle to achieving this androgyny. Fluidity of gender and sexuality. Woolf blurs the line between sex and gender, describing an intermix of the two. Orlando's androgyny is not static but mobile and dynamic, with gender and desires that are constantly shifting. Orlando both respond to the to and defies the gender expectations and sexual norms of this time. Parody and gender neutralization. Woolf used parody in Orlando to critique late Victorian sexual codes. The androgynous figure in the novel is sometimes mocked, and this mockery contributes to Woolf's idea of gender neutralization. The novel also addresses same-sex love, as we see that Orlando also fell in love with same-sex. And also deconstructing traditional gender binaries and heterosexuality, race, gender, and sexuality. Woolf's concept of androgyny also intersects with ideas about race and sexual inversion. In Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse, she uses racial hybridity to depict women who exist beyond traditional heterosexual roles. These women embody androgynous qualities. This challenge Victorian ideologies of feminism. Modern relevance, Orlando and today's world. Orlando's exploration of gender fluidity is highly relevant to contemporary discussion on non-binary identities and the idea that gender is a social construct. The novel subversion of gender roles and uh, heteronormativity aligned with modern activism. The blurring of gender and shifting desires in the novel also resonate with LGBTQ term uh, identities and sexual orientations. The emphasis on clothing and performance connects the modern understanding of gender as performative. Finally, Orlando's journey reflects the modern idea that identity is fluid and evolves in a response to the context. Conclusion. Virginia Woolf's Orlando provides a rich and complex exploration of gender. It challenges a traditional notion of identity and sexuality. Through parody and androgyny, the novel de-establishes rigid binaries and anticipates contemporary discussion on gender fluidity. Woolf encourages readers to question fixed role and embrace a more flexible understanding of identity. These are my references. Thank you. If anyone have question, then ask me.
Shruti, my question for you. In what ways does Woolf exploration of androgyny in Orlando connect with current discussion of regarding non-binary gender identities?
So Woolf's androgyny in Orlando, which blurs boundaries and connect with current situation. So it also critiques real modern times strict female or male binary. Uh, Also, novel anticipate modern understanding of non-binary and that. And Woolf suggests that both should equal in modern times.
So, Srushti, my question for you. How does the novel Orlando address the influence of social expectation on a gender role, and are these influences still relevant in contemporary society?
Yes, that we have seen that uh, Woolf present societal expectation that shaped gender roles in that time. So in this time, some progress has occurred, and this influence persists today. So gender behavior, dress code, and stereotype norms still we can see in modern times, and its impact are also we can see in our modern life, that uh, if girls wear short dresses, then some old generation or some stereotypes people mocks girl that you should not wear these dresses, etc. Thank you.
Time the next one gets ready. Okay. So all of you have linked your video recordings. Due to internet failure, last 2 days, three of you, three students were not able to make your live presentations. Okay. So we see here that these are the recordings of the first day. Okay. Okay, so this is one SHRUTI presentation. Okay.
Yes. Shall I start?
Just a minute. Let me see.
Stability of language and meaning. So here we can see that there is a no fixed meaning of one word. So it reveals internal contradictions
This
within the
is the
text,
one.
showing that meaning is not fixed, but rather fluid and dependent on context.
This is the another
Innovative
one.
artist, hence Richer and MEHRA, to Dada, which was the where it has a basic pattern, but this surprising changes.
This is
Modernism in the
Rajdeep's one.
cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Nosferatu, a symphony of horror. These are my academic details and presentation details. Table of contents. Introduction. So German
And yesterday, this year presented yesterday. Okay.
each other blame their guilt, their own fear, and their failures. So they fail to deliberative rhetoric. They have not conversation. They have not mature relationship between each and other. So which is about making wise choice for the future, keeping them trapped in cycle of conflict. Herein, second point is rhetoric pattern. Judicial rhetoric is a way of talking that looks at past actions to decide who is at fault. And often studying tonight, families often blame tyrants for their problems and need to change.
Generally, transcendentalism is a focus on spirituality rather than religion, because say that religion manners is a
Okay, so you will see the difference that the first day things were done quite well. Yeah, this was a good recording that was done. Even the audio quality is very good in this. In the next one, that the next day you have done, that is this classroom recording, there is lots of echo sound. The audio is not recorded properly also. So while observing, you come to know that when you want to improve a little bit of quality, which option is better option. You might have all kinds of alternatives and options, but if you compare and see that this way the result is good, this way the result is not good, then you can select a better option, that how the better things can be done. Better things will be little bit difficult also. The bad things will be little bit easy also. So whether your choice will be to make easy things or a better thing, that is up to you. That is what you have learned in last 20 years. Whatever grooming has happened, that will allow you to make a choice, that should I go for easy option or should I go for better things, qualitatively good thing also. So that is how you decide. Instinctively આપણે અમુક જાતની પસંદગીઓ કરતા હોય. એમાં આ હોય કે ચલો જેવું તેવું બનાવીને ધરબી દો ને કે આપવાનું કીધું છે ને આપી દો, લિંક કરી દઈએ કે વાત પૂરી થાય કે નહીં, આપણે કરીએ સારું જ કરીએ, ભલે થોડી વાર લાગે, પણ આપણે જે કામ પણ કરીએ ક્વોલિટેટિવલી સારું કરીએ. ભલે પછી ઉકરડામાં નાખવાનું હોય તો આપણા તગારામાં સારી વસ્તુ હોવી જોઈએ. કોઈને એમ થાય કે ગમે ત્યાં ભલે પેલા સિંહાસન ઉપર ચડાવવાનું છે તોય ભલે ને આપણું ખરાબ જાતું કે પેલું પાણીનું દૂધનો કટોરો મંદિરમાં નાખવાનો, બધા દૂધ નાખવાના છે, આપણે એક લોટો પાણી નાખશું તો શું ફરક પડશે? એક એવી દાનત હોય કે આપણે પાણી નાખ્યા હોઈએ, બીજા બધા દૂધ નાખવાના જ છે, આપણું પાણી ક્યાંક સંતાઈ જશે. કોઈ કે નહીં, બીજા ગમે તે નાખે, આપણે આ સારું જ કામ કરવાનું છે. That way you can decide later on that whether you want to do easy thing and complete it for the sake of completing, or you want to go for quality. So in last 2 days we got both the examples, that on one day we have a good qualitative work being done, and the next day we have rather poor quality of the work that is done. And both the group of students are from your group only and from the same department. કોઈ અમેરિકાથી હોય તો આપણે કોઈ તો અમેરિકામાં છે એટલે એ બધું એને સારું હોય, અમે તો અહીં ભાવનગરમાં છીએ, અમને ક્યાં આટલું સારું મળે? એ તો બધા કોઈ સારી ઇન્સ્ટિટ્યૂટમાં ભણે છે એટલે એને આ બધું આવડે, અમે તો સાવ ભાવનગર યુનિવર્સિટીમાં ભણીએ છીએ, ત્યાં ક્યાં કઈ શીખવાડે છે એટલે અમને તો આવું આવડે. એ બધા બહાના હોઈ શકે, પણ આ તો આપણા જ ગ્રુપના છે એટલે આપણે એ બહાના ન આપી શકીએ. ક્વોલિટી વર્ક, that way we can decide also. I hope you will keep this in mind so that next time when things come to do the work, you can make a better choice also. Yes, you can start now.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I am going to present Lighting the Cave, Woolf, Sackville-West, and the Fluidity of Love and Identity in Orlando. This Lighting the Cave phrase I put from the T.S.Eliot's article. And in other way, we can say illustrating the cave also. So these are my personal information, table of contents. And my research question, how does Orlando a biography function as both a personal tribute to Vita Sackville-West and a subversive critique of gender identity and historical representation in Virginia Woolf's literary and cultural context? hypothesis. Virginia Woolf's Orlando a biography is both an intimate tribute to Vita Sackville-West and a subversive critique of gender, identity, and historical representation. Through Orlando's seamless transition, Woolf challenges a fixed notion of sexual identity, mirroring Sackville-West's own gender fluidity and defying societal expectations. The novel further deconstructs the authority of historical narratives, illustrating how biography, like identity, is a fluid and shaped by power structure rather than objective truth. By blending personal affection with literary innovation, Orlando functions as both a love letter and a political statement, commenting its place as a groundbreaking work in modernist and queer literature. So, introduction. Virginia Woolf's Orlando biography is both a deeply personal tribute to Vita Sackville-West and breaking exploration of gender, identity, and sexuality. Sackville-West's gender fluidity expressed through her masculine and feminine identities deeply influenced Orlando. Woolf captures this fluidity by portraying gender as a dynamic process rather than a fixed stat, using Orlando's seamless transition from male to female to critique societal constraints on women. And clothing plays a key role in shaping gender perception, mirroring Sackville-West's own experience with gender presentations. So, understanding the lighting the cave, it also we can say illustrating the cave. This phrase symbolizes how Woolf and Sackville-West illuminated each other's lives and offering emotional and intellectual support. And their relationship acted as a source of creative energy, allowing them to explore new ideas about gender, sexuality, and identity. And why Orlando? So, Woolf's Orlando is a fictionalized biography of Sackville-West, spanning centuries and challenging fixed idea about gender and sexuality. Here we can take one example from Angelica Carter's The Passion of a New Eve. In it also, like Orlando, in this its exploration of a gender transformation and also identity is a fluid concept. So this is the main point. Woolf and Sackville-West, a relationship beyond labels. So it examining their emotional and sexual bond. Some critics have tried to downplay the eroticism of their relationship, while others emphasize the importance of their same-sex desire. And while Sackville-West had a passionate affairs with a woman, she maintained a strong emotional connection with her husband, Harold Nicholson, and highlighting her duality. And one other is a fluid identity and Woolf's literary interpretation of Vita. So Woolf saw Vita as both a real woman and someone who defined traditional gender norms. So Orlando captures Vita's shifting self-perception and portraying gender and identity as a process rather than a fixed stat. And Sackville-West's self-identification evolves over time, influenced by both her same-sex relationships and her aristocratic upbringing. Gender fluidity and identity in Orlando. So Orlando's transformation from male to female. Orlando's gender change is presented as a natural and seamless, suggesting that identity transcends biological sex. We can take one example from this Virginia Woolf's Room of One's Own. In this, we can also connected with this that women have so many restrictions. So here Orlando's gender transformation, he realized that how a woman suffered and how she treated by men and all. So this is the main point here. And Sackville-West on gender fluidity. Sackville-West was known for embracing both masculine and feminine identities, often dressing as a man in her relationship with violent refugees. Woolf captures this duality in Orlando, portraying a protagonist who exists beyond traditional gender norms, and also in the role of clothing in gender identity. So Woolf shows how clothing constructs a gender. When Orlando wears men clothes, they are treated as a man, and vice versa. This mirrors Sackville-West's own experience with a gender presentations. Lesbian feminist woman, what's the difference? So the categories of lesbian, feminist and woman are often imposed externally, but Wolf's work resists these fixed labels. Here we can take one example from Gertrude Stein, Tender Buttons. In this also we can it also connected with deconstruct gender norms and all. So this main point. Here desire beyond heteronormativity, and Orlando loves both men and women without restriction. Feminist critics of marriage. Orlando's relationship with Shalmerdine is unconventional. Both acknowledge their gender complexities. Wolf's and Vita's relationship complicates traditional identity labels. So here, their love letters reveals desire, longing, and intense emotional connection, but they also reflect societal constraints on women's sexuality. Orlando's is a love letter and a political statement. So here, Woolf's dedication of the novel to Vita and its intimate tone suggests that Orlando was a deeply personal tribute. However, it is also political statement about women's exclusion from history. Orlando witnessed centuries of partial control but survives it. And we here we can take one example from Michel Foucault's The History of Sexuality. In this, it explores of how identity and sexuality shaped by political structures. So this work is also connected with this. And Wolf's Orlando plays with the idea that history is shaped by power and gender norms, and questioning whether any biography can be truly objective. So, gender and identity, a comparative study of Woolf's Orlando and goes Chitragandha. And the grounding wish. So, fluidity of time and self. Here we can compare this Orlando and Ghost film. So Orlando, this is a fluid Orlando lives for centuries without aging, experiencing a history from the Elizabeth era to the 20th century. And Woolf's approaches suggest that identity is ever changing and shaped by time. And Chitragada, so the film blurs time through its use of theater. Rudra, choreographer, stages the play Chitragada while undergoing personal transformation. So the play within the film mirrors Rudra's struggle, just as Orlando's transformation mirrors shifting cultural expectations of gender across time. So that is the main point. And then societal expectations and gender roles. So in Orlando, as a man, Orlando enjoys privileges and freedom. As a woman, she is subjected to social restrictions, highlighting patriarchal structures. And Woolf critiques how gender dictates personal and professional opportunities. And in film, we can see that Rudra struggles with social acceptance as a queer person in a modern India, and his desire to undergo gender affirming surgery stems from a societal pressure rather than a personal need, exposing the rigid norm that dictate identity and relationships. So conclusion. Virginia Woolf's Orlando stand as a testament to the transformative power of love, artistic inspiration, and intellectual championship. The novel, inspired by her relationship with her, Vita Sackville-West, is both an intimate tribute and a subvertive critique of a gender role, history, and sexuality. Ultimately, Orlando is both a love letter and political statement, and it immortalizes Woolf's affection for Vita while stimulantly questioning the authority of history, biography, and the rigid boundaries of gender. So, Woolf's groundbreaking exploration of a fluid identity, queerness, and feminist resistance ensure that Orlando remains one of the most important works in a modernist and queer literature today. So, these are my references, and thank you so much. If you have any question, please ask.
Shruti, my question is, how does Orlando reflect queer literary themes?
Okay. Um, or yes. Uh, Orlando immortalizes Wolf's love for Vita, and while critiquing gender norms, history, and identity, it challenges patriarchy by showcasing protagonists who survive century of male dominance. So that is the main point.
So, Shruti, my question for you: how is Orlando both personal love story and political statement?
Okay. So Orlando, we can, as I earlier mentioned, that it's explore. It also it's about norms and identity and history. So that is the main point of that. So thank you so much.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I am Tanvi MEHRA. Now I am going to discuss about the wasteland of the digital age, Eliot's modernism versus cyber dystopias. This is my academic information, table of content, and research question for my presentation is: how does T.S.Eliot's depiction of fragmentation and disillusionment in the Westland anticipate the existential and psychological crisis of the digital age and cyber dystopias? And the hypothesis of my presentation is: Eliot's The Westland serves as a literary precursor to cyber dystopian narratives by illustrating a fragmented, alienated world where meaning is elusive, paralleling the psychological disorientation and existential despair caused by information overload, digital hyperreality, and the decline of authentic human connection in the digital age. Introduction. Both Eliot's modernism and cyber dystopias explore a world in crisis. One reflects the aftermath of war, and the other the impact of technology. Despite different eras, both depict alienation, uncertainty, and the search for meaning. And this presentation explores how these two worlds connect and contrast. Uh, this is author's information and the brief overview of the Westland. This poem published in the 1922 post World War One, and it's a modernist masterpiece.
And this poem explores themes like fragmentation, spiritual decay, alienation, and loss of meaning. And this poem uses techniques like collage of voices, allusions, symbolism, and shifting perspectives. Key symbols like the wasteland, a barren, meaningless world, and the water, destruction versus renewal, and the unreal city, modern alienation. And this is some famous lines from the poem. Cyber dystopias, defining the genre. What are the cyber dystopias? Cyber dystopia depict futuristic technology dominated societies where humans struggle with identity, surveillance, and loss of control. These narratives often explore the dark side of digital evolution, questioning whether technology liberates or enslaves humanity. Key works of cyber dystopias. First one, Neuromancer, foundation cyberpunk novel exploring hacking and AI. Second one, Blade Runner, a world where artificial beings question their humanity. And The Matrix, reality is an illusion controlled by machines. And Black Mirror, a series revealing the dangers of digital dependence. And common themes of cyber dystopias, uh, loss of identity, human blur with technology, and surveillance and control, societies governed by all seeing technology, and AI replacing human roles, machines surpassing human intelligence. Isolation and meaninglessness. Eliot's Unreal City. The Wasteland portrays a crowded yet lonely world where people move through life disconnected. And the famous line is the a crowd flowed over London Bridge, so many I had not through death had undone so many, suggests spiritual emptiness and a lack of authentic human connection. Cyber dystopian loneliness, virtual over reality, social media and AI interactions replace real relationships. And the emotion manipulation, algorithms track and shape human feelings, avatars over people, digital identities take precedence over real life presence, increasing detachment. Key parallel, both Eliot's Unreal City and cyber dystopias depict societies where people exist together but remain emotionally isolated, struggling to find meaning in a disconnected world. Fragmentation in Eliot versus digital chaos. The Westland's fragmentation. Eliot's poem is a collage of voices, language, and historical references, creating a sense of disorder and confusion. The shattered narrative reflects a world broken by war and cultural decline. Readers struggle to find coherence, mirroring the disconnection of modern life. Digital age parallel, information overload, endless news, AI generated content, and algorithm driven feeds overwhelm comprehension, loss of reality, deep fakes, virtual words, and hyperreality blur fact and fiction, surveillance state, governments and corporations track identities, leading to fragmented digital selves. Key parallel, both the Westland and cyber dystopias depict a world where truth is elusive, meaning is scattered, and individuals struggle to navigate the chaos. Loss of spirituality versus digital nihilism. Eliot's use of religion and myth. The Holy Grail represents a spiritual quest for meaning yet remain unfulfilled in the Westland. Earnest philosophy. Eliot ends with Shanti, 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 a Hindu prayer for peace, but it feels fragmented and uncertain. Overall, Eliot searches for redemption but finds only spiritual emptiness. Cyber dystopian and tech replacing religion. AI and transhumanism. Technology promises immortality, replacing faith in higher powers. Virtual reality as a new religion. People seek meaning in digital words instead of spiritual enlightenment. Digital nihilism, a world where nothing matters as a reality in artificial and truth is uncertain. Key parallel, both the Westland and the cyber dystopias depict a crisis of faith, whether in religion, humanity, or reality itself. Living individuals lost of searching for meaning in a uncertain world. Hope for further decay. The Westland's ending, a ray of hope. Eliot closes with Datta, Dayadhvam, and Damyata. It's give sympathies and control, a call for moral and spiritual renewal. And Shanti, 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 a Hindu blessing for peace, but the fragmented nature of the poem leaves uncertainty about true redemption. A slight hope for meaning, yet the world remains broken. Cyber dystopian, no escape. Unlike Eliot's hint for renewal, cyber dystopias offer no escape. Blade Runner 2049 memories and identity are manipulated. What is real? And Black Mirror, every technological solution leads to new problems. The Matrix, even rebellion is predicted and controlled by the system. Technology like modernity offers false hopes but ultimately depends alienation. Key parallel, both the Westland and cyber dystopias question whether humanity can find meaning and redemption, or whether we are trapped in a cycle of fragmentation and control. In conclusion, Eliot's The Westland and cyber dystopias both depict fragmented, alienated worlds where individuals struggle for meaning. The modernist chaos of Eliot's time, spiritual decay, and cultural fragmentation mirrors today's digital age, where technology depends disconnection. Social media, AI, and virtual realities create a new unreal city where people are hyper connected yet emotionally isolated. While Eliot offers a faint hope for a renewal, and cyber dystopias often suggest an inescapable future of control, the question remains, can we find meaning in the digital wasteland? These are my references. Thank you. Do you have any question?
So, Tanvi, my question is for you. How does technology cause isolation today?
In my point of view, technology cause isolation today, like social media and internet make people feels alone and constantly feels lonely.
Tanvi, my question is, how does the poem relate to the modern age, digital age?
The poem's themes like chaos and loss of meaning connected to the confusion and uh, uh, confusion and the confusion and meaninglessness of life, and they feel constantly alone. So thank you so much.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Mansi Joshi, and here I am going to make my presentation on T.S. Eliot's Westland. And this article is written by R.J. Owens, and this article is about various elements are used in this poem. So, here is my personal information. Here is my table of contents. Here is my research question and hypothesis. So my research question is, how does T.S. Eliot's use of the mythical method in the Westland serves to reflect the spiritual and cultural dissolution of the modern era? And the hypothesis is, Eliot's incorporation of myth in the Westland functions as a deliberate technique to mirror and critique the cyclical patterns of cultural and spiritual decay in modern society. So suggesting that contemporary dissolution is a recurring theme throughout human history. So first introduction. So T.S. Eliot's poem The Westland is one of the most important work of modern poetry. So when it was first published, many readers found it is difficult to understand. However, as the critics studied it and Eliot wrote more poetry, its meaning become clearer. So even though the poem is complex, it is still considered a masterpiece of English literature. It has influenced many later poems, and including Walcott. So, fragmentation and unity in the Westland. So, first is the impression of chaos. So, at first, when we look on this poem, it seems confusing and broken. So, the first poem jumps between different voices, language, and style. It does not follow a clear story, which makes it hard to understand on the first reading. Readers maybe feel lost because the poem seems to lack of central theme or connection between ideas. So here we also can take example of one any drawing, like in any canvas on mostly in seascape and landscape we can see some patches. But if we put this picture on some different angle, so we can see one image that makes a perfect sense. So it is the clear example for this poem. Second is, why is the poem fragmented? So Eliot made the poem fragmented on purpose. He wanted to show the disorder and confusion of the modern world after World War One. So people had lost their sense of meaning and stability, and the poem reflects these feelings. The broken style represents a world that no longer feels whole or peaceful. So third points here I make is that underlining artistic unity. So we can see musical composition techniques, psychological association, mythic methods in musicality. We can see music. The poem has repeated words, phrases, and themes that create rhythm and pattern. In psychological association, the poem connects emotion and images and in ways that feels natural. And in a mythical method, Eliot used ancient myths to give the poem a hidden structure. The second point is the central themes, spiritual and cultural decay. So barren land is the it shows the absence of water in the water in the poem. It shows the lack of energy, hope, and the we need to renewal in our life. So just like water is important for survival, as much as the spirituality is important for survive life. Second is modern world. T.S. Eliot is disappointed with the modern world. Why? Because modern society becomes meaningless, and they have not that much hope. And poem shows strong desire for renewal, and people hopes return to perfect truth. And Eliot is also parallels with the past. So present and past, this bridge makes something sense, like it connects his personal feelings of sadness and confusion with the historical events. Fertility, cults, and mythological underpinnings. So, fertility cults were ancient religious groups that believed in cycle of life, death, and rebirth. So, they often worshipped god of nature who would die and come back to life. So, just like plants, whether in winter and they grow again in spring. So, this is the best idea of death and rebirth. So, in our history, we can see some myths like Osiris from the Egypt, Ordinus from Greece. So these are several examples from myths. Next is psychological and existential dimensions. So in T.S.Eliot's poets, the Westland reflects the struggles people face during time of great changes. It shows how both spiritual and physical needs are often not met, leading to confusion and suffering. It's a clear sense that we are living in the stereotypic typical life. But if this regulation broken, so we face some problems. So here this is the same problem which modern society faces during that time. And the famous poem and the famous line is in starting that April is the cruelest month. So this shows that spring is not in a positive sense. That personally I like this symbol in this poem, that Philomela is a symbol. So this is a symbol of transformation. It is also a transformation of T.S. Eliot and Philomela's life. So in mythology, Philomela was turned into nightingale after suffering a great pain. So this change is like how ice is become pearls, and both turn suffering into the something new. So in the Westland, it shows the wish to escape from pain and sadness. So this imagination is helps to escape from the suffering. And if we look from the T.S. Eliot's idea of transformation into nightingale, so just like a Philomela signs, after suffering, poets use poetry to explain pain. So poetry changes suffering into something beautiful, like Philomela's songs. So this idea suggests that art can make pain with meaningful. So conclusion is, this poem talks about how modern civilization feels empty and lost, but it also suggests that renewal is possible. Means hope is always with us, but we have to think about it. So Owens explains that Eliot used myths like the story of Fisher King to show how the world seems lifeless and broken. However, Eliot also hints that people can find hope by looking inside themselves and learning from history and old stories. So, in the end, Eliot does not give a clear answer. He shows both the sadness of dying culture and a small hope that things might be get better. So, here my references, and thank you.
Mansi, my question is, how does Eliot reconcile the apparent chaos of the Westland with unrailing artistic unity?
So here we can see such a structure in fragmentation. So here I want to give another example of puzzle. We have so many blocks of puzzle, but when we put together all the blocks, and that we can make a sense of any solution. So it is like we have so many stories, so many myths so many musicality and psychological idea. But when we put this all this stuff together, and then readers can get clear sense. So this is a poem about that readers have to improve their reading idea.
So, Mansi, my question is for you. How does T.S. Eliot use symbolism to convey spiritual and cultural decay in the Westland?
So we can see the absence of water. It signifies a lack of renewal. If we have to survive this life with some happiness and with some joy, so we have to make spirituality. It's not about only for God, but we have to make a bridge and with a relationship with also with humanity. And we can see this idea of rebirth, that everywhere is we can see barren land, but we have also hope that if we give some water and if we give some sun rays, so it will give some fruitful fruits for our further life. Thank you.
Good evening. Today my presentation topic is the role of mythology in the Westland. These are my personal information. Hypothesis and research question. Hypothesis: T.S. Eliot, The Westland, employs mythology as a structural and thematic device to depict the fragmentation and spiritual crisis of the modern world. By integrating Western and Eastern myths, Eliot suggests that reconnection with cultural and spiritual tradition can offer a path to renewal and meaning in a seemingly desolate world. Research question: how does T.S. Eliot's use of mythology in the Westland reflect the cultural and spiritual crisis of modernity? And what solutions does the poem purpose for renewal? Table of contents. Introduction. T.S. Eliot's The Westland, published in 1922, is one of the most important modern poems reflecting the confusion and sadness people felt after World War I. The poem has 5 sections, like the first Burial of Dead, Game of Chess, The Fire Sermon, Death by Water, and What the Thunder Said, each exploring different themes like death, emptiness, and the hope of renewal. Eliot uses many references from history, religion, and literature, including the Grail legends, which represent the search for spiritual meaning, and fertility myths, which symbolize a rebirth. One key figure in the poem is Tiresias, a blind prophet from Greek mythology, who connect the past and present. The poem's style is unique, with sudden changes in voice, multiple language, and different cultural references, showing how fragmented and disconnected the modern world feels. Even though the poem describes a world full of suffering, it also suggests that renewal is possible through self-reflection and spiritual growth. The Westland remains an influence work studied for its deep meaning and impact on modern poetry. The use of myth in the Westland. Also, we know T.S. Eliot used many myths like Holy Grails, Sibyl, Tiresias, Philobas, Philomela, the Fisher King, and vegetation. Eliot has a deep respect for myth and its ability to provide a cultural or historical perspective. In the Westland, Eliot's use myth is more than literary device. It's a way to connect his idea to universal theme and create order from chaos. Eliot uses ideas from the collective unconsciousness to express his view on the human condition. Mythic structure found across different cultures show common thoughts pattern in humanity. These structures often involve violence necessary for completing mythic processes like destruction before creating or violent act for purification. The function of myth in the Westland. Eliot used myth in the Westland to connect the past with the present. Eliot's use mythology is considered a creative innovation. Mythological figures in the Westland. The Fisher King. The Fisher King is a central figure in the Grill legend. He is Wonder King whose land suffers from barrenness due his own physical affliction. His kingdom can only be restored when the right questions are asked and the Grail is found. In the Westland, the Fisher King symbolized the spiritual and cultural paralysis of the modern world. The barrenness of the land reflects the moral and existential crisis of post-World War I society. Second, Tiresias. Tiresias is the blind prophet from Greek mythology, play a crucial role in the Westland. He is figure who has lived as both as a man as a woman, giving him insight into human experience beyond gendered limitation. Eliot used Tiresias as a unifying voice in the poem, acting as an observer of the disconnected. Fragmentation word his presence suggests a vision of a time where past and present collapse into one. T.S. Eliot's creative use of mythology in the Westland. Eliot misreads mythological source to generate new meaning in the Westland. This is not a mistake, but a way to express idea about the modern world. Eliot's misreading create a space of creativity for himself. For example, Eliot used the myth of the Fisher King to show importance of the modern world. In the myth, the Fisher King importance bring drought and sterility of his land. Eliot uses this myth to represent his spiritual and ecological malaise of the modern world. Mythological and modern in the Westland. T.S. Eliot's The Westland uses mythology to show the spiritual and cultural decline of the modern world, describing it as a dry and lifeless Westland, where people feel lost and disconnected from faith, tradition, and meaning. One important myth in the poem is the story of the Fisher King, a wonder rules from Arthurian legend whose injury causes his land to become barren. Eliot uses this figure to represent modern civilization, suggesting that just as the Fisher King's suffering brings ruin in his kingdom, the moral and spiritual weakness of today's society has led to world that feels empty and without purpose. The spiritual crisis is shown through the poem fragmented voice and shifting perspectives, which reflects how people have lost their connection to old tradition and values. Eliot also suggests that these loss show how everyone becomes strained and decay. By using mythology, Eliot explains the deep sadness of modern life, showing that Fisher King's story is not just legend but a symbol of the emptiness of today's world. The poem suggests that just a fisher king's land can be healed when he recovers. Modern society can also find renewal if people reconnect with deeper truth and tradition. Until that happens, however, the world remains a wasteland full of confusion and uncertainty. Mythological echoes in the wasteland. Central role of mythology. T.S.Eliot, The Wasteland, intricately weaves together various mythological traditions to underscore the poem's themes of desolation and search for spiritual renewal. Eastern and Western tradition. The poem draws parallels between the religious tradition of ancient India and those of classical and medieval Western civilization, highlighting a common heritage. The thunder as a divine voice, echoing the Old Tech- uh, Testament and classical sources, the thunder in the poem depicted as a divine voice, symbolizing a potential source of redemption. Indra is a restoration of water. The myth of Indra, the Indian war god who released the imprisoned waters, is particularly relevant to poems' imagery of doubt and the quest for fertility. Mythology as a structural device. The use of mythological references not only enriches the poem's thematic complexity but also provide a structural framework in linking disparate elements and amplifying the poem's exploration of culture fragmentation and the yearning for spiritual integration. Eastern mythology, Hindu and Buddhist influence in the Westland. The Westland, T.S. Eliot draw on both Hindu and Buddhist tradition of explore themes of spiritual emptiness and renewal. In the final section, what the thunder said is incorrupted three Sanskrit words from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Datta means give, Dayadva means sympathize, and Damyata means control. This word empathize, generosity, compassion, and self-discipline as way to heal a broken society. The poem conclude with Shanti, 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 a tradition Hindu blessing meaning peace, peace, peace. Similarly, the third section, the fire sermon, is named after famous discouraged by the Buddha, which teaches this unchecked desire and passion lead to suffering. Eliot contrasts this idea with the convention of the Augustine, highlighting how different religious tradition with temptation and seek spiritual wisdom. As a mythology as a source of meaning in the fragmentation world. In conclusion, T.S. Eliot's The Westland masterfully integrated mythology to explore themes of despair, fragmentation, and the loss of spiritual direction in the modern world. The poem juxtaposes figures like the Fisher King with Eastern philosophical teaching, illustrating a universal human struggles for meaning. Through this mythological echoes, Eliot not only critiques the moral and existential emptiness of contemporary society, but also suggests that redemption is possible through self-awareness and spiritual introspection. The poems ending with the references to the Upanishads implicities that healing renewals can emerge through act of giving, compassion, and self-discipline. Ultimately, Eliot's use mythology transforms the wasteland into a meditation on the past relevance to modern existential concerns, arguing readers to seek meaning beyond chaos. These are my references.
My question is, how does Eliot use the contrast between life and death in mythology?
Eliot used life and death to show that sometimes things have have to fall apart before they can be rebuilt. In the wasteland, we can see world that feel emptiness and lifeless, and relationship between broken, and also the land is dry and people seem lost.
My question is, what is the relationship between mythology and the time in the Westland?
Eliot mix old mythology to in modern time to and show that history keep repeating itself, and the, the same struggle and meaning, searching meaning, and character like Tiresias. Sometime he live in past and he live in present. Thank you.
बरोबर तो એમ તેવું ના પણ ભાઈ રૂમાલ નાખ્યા હોય માયક વચ્ચે માયક આવે છે વચ્ચે માયક આવે છે મોઢા ઉપર માયક વચ્ચે આવે છે લાઈટની હવે Good afternoon, everyone. Today my topic is the American Dream in Great Gatsby, Illusion versus Reality. This is my personal information, table of content. My research question is, how does the Great Gatsby portray the American Dream as an illusion rather than a reality, and what role do wealth, class, and moral decays play in it is a failure? An hypothesis is the novel suggests that the American dream, as represented by Gatsby, pursuit of wealth and love, is inherently flawed. It argued that social class division, materialism, and moral corruption prevent individual from achieving the true fulfillment, making the dream as an attainable illusion. About author F. Scott Fitzgerald was born on September 24, 1896. He was 1917. He was left to university and joined U.S. Army during World War One. The American Dream with the Great Gatsby, 1955, being his most famous work, and other notable work include The Tender is the Night, despite his literary success. Fitzgerald faces financial struggle and personal challenge, including Zelda dealing mental health in the late 1930s century. He moved to Hollywood to work as a screen writer, but struggled to resign his former success. He died of a heart attack on December 21, 1940, in Hollywood, California. Today, The Great Gatsby is considered one of the greatest American novels, and Fitzgerald's work continue to be studied and celebrated worldwide. Introduction. The Great Gatsby is moved by a novel by F. Scott Fitzgerald, first published in 1925, set during the Roaring '20s. It explores the theme of wealth, class, love, and the American dream. The story follows the J. Gatsby, a mysterious millionaire, and his obsession with the Daisy Buchanan, a woman from his past. Throughout the eyes of narrator Nick Carraway, the novel critic the extra avages and moral decay of the era. Initially, the book received mixed review and was not commercially successful, but it later gained recognition as one of the greatest work of American literature today. The Great Gatsby is widely studied and admired for its reach to symbolize poetic prose and a timeless theme. Gatsby is a embodied of the American dream. Rags to riches. J. Gatsby rise up from a poor background to immense wealth, embodying the American dream of self-made success, material success. His lavish parties and grand mansion symbolize the belief that hard work and ambition lead to prosperity. Moral decay. Despite achieving material success, Gatsby remain unfulfilled, showing how the American dream can be corrupted by greed and idealism. Tom as the face of old money arrogance. Tom Buchanan represents the alignment and superiority associated with old money. He believes in a rigid class restriction and consider himself superior due to his wealth and family background. His view on race and social status further reinforces the barriers between the elite and those trying to rise in the society. His arrogance is evident in his mistreatment of other, especially Gatsby, whom he sees as the one outsider despite his wealth. Tom view Gatsby's self-made success as a enlightenment and constantly undermine him. Emphasize the great Gatsby can never truly belong to their class. Tom manipulated George Wilson into killing Gatsby after a marital death. Tom despitefully suggests the Gatsby was responsible, exploiting George's grief and desperation. His actions show how Tom used his religions to eliminate threat without facing consciousness. Daisy, as a symbol of wealth, is a corrupting influence. Daisy Buchanan embodies the superficiality and moral decay of inherited wealth. She prioritized material comfort over love, ultimately rejecting Gatsby despite once loving him. Her decision to remain with Tom after Gatsby's death illustrate how old money values security over genius, emotional connection. She is emotionally detached, refusing to take responsibility for Gatsby's fate. After the accident, she avoided confrontation, allowing Tom to handle the situation and distance her from any consciousness. Her intention show how privileges shield her from accountability. The eyes of Dr. T.J. Elecberg, moral decay. The eyes of T.J. Elecberg serve as a powerful symbol of a moral decay in the Great Gatsby. Positioned in the Valley of Ashes, a bleak wasteland representing the failure of the American dream, the eyes watch over a world that has lost in ethical foundation. Fitzgerald used them to highlight the theme of corruption, lack of justice, and a moral blindness of character. The character priorities material wealth over morality, leading to a world where human values are eroded. The character failed to see the consciousness of their action. Tom disregards Marty's life. Daisy refused to acknowledge Gatsby's death, and even Gatsby himself is blind to the reality of his dream. The eyes of Dr. Elecberg are more than just a billboard. They are a symbol of a godless, morally bankrupt world. The green light, illusion of the dream. The green light is the Great Gatsby is one of the most profound symbol in the novel, representing Gatsby's ultimate dream is longing for Daisy and the idealized future he invention with her. It serves as both a beacon of hope and an illusion of unattainable dream, revealing the novel deeper theme of nostalgia, ambition, and disillusionment. Reaching for hope, Gatsby stands at his dock, scratching toward the green light, symbolizes deep desire to routine with Daisy. He sees not just Daisy, but as an idealized version of her, recreating the past. The Gatsby believer he can restore his lost love. Inside the can't repeat the past. Why? Of course you can. His wealth and status are all aimed at winning Daisy back, but time has changed both of them. The illusion of the dream. Gatsby romanticized Daisy, but she followed in a materialistic Like the green light, his dream remains unattainable. In the end, the light loses its meaning, showing his dream was always out of reach. Conclusion. F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby, served as a powerful critique of the American dream, revealing it's an illusion rather than a tangible reality. Gatsby's relentless pursuit of wealth and status is driven by his desire to recreate the past and win back Daisy. Yet his dream is ultimately unattainable. The novel highlights how social class divisions, materialism, and moral decay prevent the true success. With characters like Tom and Daisy Buchanan using their privileges to manipulate others while avoiding consciousness. Despite Gatsby's immense fortune, he is never fully accepted by old money elite. Emphasize the status is about legacy rather than wealth alone. His tragic downfall underscore the idea that the American dream is inherently flawed, as ambition and hard work cannot overcome deeply ingrained social barrier. Fitzgerald ultimately critique the Judge's obsession with material success, showing that the pursuit of wealth often leads to disillusionment, moral corruption, and deconstruction rather than a fulfillment. There is my reference. Thank you. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
So, Sagar, my question is, how do Tom and Gatsby use their wealth differently?
Tom use wealth to control and dominate, while Gatsby used to impress and win love.
My question is, how does Fitzgerald's portrayal of Gatsby's dream compare to modern view of the American dream?
Today, American dream is more about the personal success and happiness, while the Gatsby's time is tied to wealth and status. Fitzgerald showed that chasing wealth lead empathize. Thank you, everyone.
So good evening, everyone. Today's my presentation's topic is a modernism in the Great Gatsby. So start with this is my personal information, table of content, and research question. How does Scott Fitzgerald employ modernist literary technique in the Great Gatsby to critique the American dream and convey themes of disillusionment? Hypothesis: Fitzgerald utilized unreliable narration, fragmented storytelling, and a cyclical portrayal of time in The Great Gatsby to challenge the traditional narrative structures, emphasizing the disillusionment of the American dream and the inescapable nature of the past, central theme in modernist literature. In introduction, modernism in The Great Gatsby reflect a profound shift in a literary style and thematic explorations, aligning with the broader modernist movement of the early 20th century. Fitzgerald employ unreliable narration, fragmented storytelling, and subjective perspectives to challenge traditional narrative structures. Through Nick Carraway's beside the storytelling, the novel forces reader to question truth and reality, a key feature of modernist literature. So main thing is reader to question truth and reality is a main key feature of modernist literature. Additionally, the novel critiques the disillusionment of the American dream, exposing the corruption of ideals and the emptiness of wealth. Fitzgerald's portrayal of time as a cyclical rather than a progressive further aligns with a modernist theme, emphasizing the struggle between aspiration and inevitability. So, narrative style in modernism. The Great Gatsby embodies a modernist literary technique, emphasizes subjectivity, unreliable narration, and shifting perspectives. Fitzgerald presents the story through Nick Carraway, whose perspective shape in the reader's experience, but is often beside or contradictory. When we see Gatsby's character, when and personally we see Gatsby's feeling, so we give sympathy. But when we go to his work, at that time we cannot with him because of his work. The novel lacks an omniscient narrator, forcing readers to piece together events from different versions of the truth. Fragmented storytelling and structure. The novel does not follow a chronological order, a key feature of modernist narrative. So, it is a key feature of modernist narrative because of a novel does not follow a chronological. The story unfold through the flashbacks, fragmented memories, and shifting viewpoints. In We see Gatsby's personal life, and when Gatsby was thought his flashback, when we see in unfolded through in a flashback. Gatsby's past is gradually revealed in the bits and pieces, making the readers work to assemble his truth identity. The juxtapositions of scenes. For example, Gatsby's extravagant parties versus his lonely funeral enhance the sense of disillusionment. When, for example, Gatsby gave a party, in that time, so many people came in his party. But end of the novel, when Gatsby death, nobody came in his death. Disillusionment in modernism. Modernist literature often reflect disillusionment with traditional value, progress, and the American dream. In The Great Gatsby, critique the corruption of the ideals, revealing a world where wealth and success do not lead to fulfillment. So Gatsby has wealth and success, but we cannot lead to fulfillment his life. Disillusionment is expressed through the failure of Gatsby's dream, the emptiness of wealth, and Nick's loss of faith in society. So Nick's loss of faith in society. The American dream as a source of disillusionment. Gatsby embodies the American dream, rising from poverty to wealth in pursuit of an idealized love. So his main aim for achieved his love. So first, when we see Gatsby's personal life, he was poor, but for his love, he become a rich person. Gatsby's dream is based on illusion rather than the reality, making his failure inevitable. So this is a main cause of Gatsby's failure. He couldn't illusions rather than the reality. The green light at the end of the Daisy's dock symbolized the hope and desire, but Gatsby failed to grasp that his dream is already lost. The novel suggests that the American dream is corrupted by materialism and selfishness, leading to disillusionment. The modernist view on time. Unlike traditional narrative where time is a linear and leads to resolution, modernist literature challenges the conventional idea of the time. The past, present, and future overlap the influence each other, preventing any clear separation. This aligns with the T.S. Eliot's idea in the West is a cycle of repetition, not progress. In conclusion, ultimately, The Great Gatsby stand as a quintessential modernist novel, using narrative experimentation, thematic complexity, and symbolic depth to explore the illusions and failure of its character. The novel's ambiguous ending and fragmented structure reinforce its modernist rejection of absolute truth and linear progress. Fitzgerald masterfully captures the disillusionment of the post war generation, leaving readers with an open and ended contemplation of time, fate, and the unattainable nature of dreams. As the famous closing line suggested, humanity remains trapped in the past, struggling against the force that continually pull it backward. A sentiment deeply rooted in modernist thought. So these are my references, and thank you. If anyone question, please ask me.
To you, how does Fitzgerald portrayal of time cyclical reinforce disillusionment?
So Gatsby is trapped in the past, believing he can recreate lost love, reflecting the modernist rejections to progress. The cyclical view of time highlights disillusionment, the showing a dream as a untenable illusion.
So my question is, how does Fitzgerald fragmented storytelling reflect modernist theme and affect the reader's perception of truth?
The nonlinear structure and shifting perspective readers to piece together events, mirroring the modernist themes, uncertainty and subjectivity. Next unreliable narrations, blurred truth, and making reality open to interpretations. So thank you.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Devangini Vyas, and my topic name is the Jazz Age and the Fitzgerald's critique of a modern society. My academic information, table of contents. My research question is how does F. Scott Fitzgerald's portrayal of the Jazz Age in The Great Gatsby serve as a critique of a modern American societies, a moral decay, and the failure of the American dream? My hypothesis is Fitzgerald uses the extravagance and excess of the Jazz Age in The Great Gatsby as a lens to critique the moral decline, materialism, and disillusionment underlying modern American society, ultimately exposing the emptiness of the American dream. Introduction. The term Jazz Age was coined by F. Scott Fitzgerald to describe the 1920s in America, a period marked by prosperity, cultural flourishing, and social upheaval following World War I. The era show a rise in consumerism, materialism, and hectic social lives, where traditional values were increasingly questioned or abandoned. In The Great Gatsby, Fitzgerald presents a critique of a modern society, exposing the emptiness and the moral decay behind the glittering surface of wealth and excess. The Jazz Age context. The 1920s was a decade of a contrast, the unprecedented economic growth alongside stark inequalities and a moral decline. In the simple term, the Jazz Age is a period of cultural and social change in US in 1920s. Economic prosperity, mass production, consumer goods, and stock market booms created a cultural of a conspicuous consumption. Prohibition, 1920s to 1933. The banning of alcohol led to organized crime, size and flourishing of illegal activities. Like our protagonist, Jack Gatsby, is also involved in these illegal activities. He's also a bootlegger. Jazz music and youth culture. Jazz become a symbol of a freedom, a rebellion, and a modernity. Women's role also changed. The flapper emerged as a symbol of liberation. Characters like Jordan Baker and Daisy Buchanan symbolize this. Fitzgerald's own life reflected the luxury and disillusionment of the era, marking his works, including The Great Gatsby, authentic representation of the time. Fitzgerald's portrayal of a modern society in The Great Gatsby. Fitzgerald's critiques modern American society through the characters and setting of The Great Gatsby. Jack Gatsby represents the self-made man, yet his dream is corrupted by wealth and status. Jack Gatsby's character is like a self-made man and overnight success he got. He get wealth and status or a luxury for he wanted back his lost love Daisy. Daisy Buchanan embodies materialism and superficiality, valuing wealth over genuine love. So Daisy chooses Tom Buchanan over genuine love, Jack Gatsby. Tom Buchanan represents the entitlement and the moral decay of the old aristocracy. So Tom Buchanan is from inherited wealthy family. Symbolism and critique. Fitzgerald uses a powerful symbols to underscore his critique of society. The green light. Gatsby's unattainable dream, representing hope, desire, and the American dream's illusion. The Valley of Ashes. The desolate wasteland symbolizing a moral and a social decay, the forgotten underclass left behind by industrialization. The Eye of Dr. T.J. Eckelberg, a symbol of a spiritual emptiness and the loss of God, representing a world governed by a materialism and not ethics. So, in the Great Gatsby, we can find all characters are wanted wealth, luxury, and success. And we can find a spiritual emptiness. Interpretation, these symbols show a world where dreams are ruined and people no longer care about doing the right things. Jazz and fragmentation. So fragmentation is one of the main characteristics of a modern literature. Jazz music, often viewed as the soundtrack of the 1920s, becomes a metaphor in Fitzgerald's critique. Jazz fractures reflect the chaotic, fragmented experiences of the jazz age generation. The rhythmic energy of jazz parallels the excitement and instability of the characters' lives. Gatsby's lavish parties with jazz music symbolize a false hope, escapism, and superficial connections. Jay Gatsby also often through a lavish parties, but inside he feels lonely and isolated. The fragmented structure of the novel mirrors the disjointed nature of modern life, where people are isolated and relationships are hollow. Modern values and the American dream. Fitzgerald's critique the loss of traditional values in favor of wealth and status. The American dream, once about individual potential and hard work, becomes perverted by greed and material success. In simple term, the American dream is anyone can succeed through hard work. But in the jazz age, people show their success through wealth and luxury. Fitzgerald demonstrates the emptiness of modern values. As the characters like Gatsby are ultimately destroyed by their blind pursuit of status. Here I put Ronald Berman's analysis on the Great Gatsby novel. In the Great Gatsby and Modern Times, Berman argues that Fitzgerald's critique focuses on the failure of modern society to uphold meaningful ideals, replacing them with consumerism and moral corruption. Conclusion, F. Scott Fitzgerald, The Great Gatsby offers a powerful critique of the jazz age, revealing the moral emptiness behind material wealth and the illusion of the American dream. Its themes remain relevant today, reflecting ongoing struggles with the materialism and social inequality. So, the Great Gatsby's theme is also relevant in today's time. Here is my references, and thank you. Now you are free to ask questions.
Question to you. How does Fitzgerald show the difference between old money and new money in the Great Gatsby?
Fitzgerald showed the difference between old money and new money in Great Gatsby. Characters like Tom Buchanan is from inheritance wealthy family, so they lived in East Egg. So East Egg people show or look down to the West Egg people, like newly rich people.
So my question is, how does Fitzgerald criticize modern society in The Great Gatsby?
Fitzgerald criticizes modern society. He shows that success and wealth don't bring a happiness, a true happiness. Like characters like Jay Gatsby, he felt inside isolation and loneliness. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. Myself Nishtha Desai, and my today's presentation topic is materialism, morality, and the American dream in the Great Gatsby. These are my academic information. These are table of contents. My research question is, how do materialism, moral decay, and social hierarchy in the Great Gatsby reflect the corruption of the American dream, and to what extent does Gatsby's idealism clash with the realities of class division? And my hypothesis is, in the Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald critiques the materialistic value of jazz age by illustrating how moral decay and social hierarchy fuel corruption. Gatsby's dream, rooted in the illusion of social mobility and love, ultimately collapses against the rigid class divide, proving that wealth alone cannot overcome entrenched social structures. So let's begin with introduction. We know that the Great Gatsby novel published in 1925, and it's reflect the jazz age of that time, and roaring 20s, and American dream of J. Gatsby, and Gatsby extravagant lifestyle and relentless pursuit of daisies reflect the illusion that success is defined by rich, yet true fulfillment remains elusive. So in that novel, we can notice that the moral down and the materialism, and Jay Gatsby's dream of American dream, and to get back Daisy in his life, and all those things we can notice in that, and class division also we can notice in that novel. And so first of all, materialism in the novel. So Gatsby's extravagant mansion and lavish parties symbolize his attempt to use material wealth to win Daisy's love and to reclaim the past, but they ultimately highlight the futility of materialistic pursuits. So we can say that Jay Gatsby attends party, organized party. Sorry. So how, why he organized parties? Because of reflect his wealthiness and to get Daisy in his life back. So it reflects the status reflection of Jaggeds. And Daisy and Tom represent the superficiality and carelessness of old money. They prioritize luxurious life, social status over the moral responsibility, and they reflect the emptiness of their privileged lives. So we can say that the novel critiques the materialism as a hollow pursuit that leads to moral corruption, and it shadows the we can say that hide the relationship, because in the relation of Tom and Daisy we can find some cheatness in their relation, and unfulfilled lives, and ultimate exposing the distortion of the American dream. Then moral decay and corruption. The valley of ashes symbolize the moral and social decay caused by pursuit of wealth and gap between the rich and poor. The characters, particularly those from the upper class, prioritize material success over the ethical values, leading to deception, recklessness, and lack of accountability. And then the eyes of T.J. Eckelberg. We can say that in the symbol of eyes of T.J. Eckelberg, the symbol of injustice. The eyes represent as at that time the loss of God, because corruption of that time. So we can say that injustice with the poor people. So here the quote from that novel. This is a valley of ashes, a fantastic farm where ashes grow like wheat into reeds and hill, grotesque gardens where ashes take the forms of houses and chimneys, and rising smoke finally with a transcendent effort of men who moved dimly and already crumbling through the powered air. So in that lines, the Fitzgerald critic that there are poorness of the people. The value of ashes represent the poorness of and dust of the we can say that rich people. So how the poor people struggle. So the value of ashes represent their struggle. So Gatsby's illegal activities represent the corruption of ambition as Gatsby gained wealth through the bootlegging of fulfill his dream of social acceptance. Class divide and social hierarchy. So we can say that there are class division in that novel. One at that east egg, another side is a west egg, and valley of ashes is reflect the poor people. So we can say that the what is the class difference? East egg means old money. Old money represent the lifestyle of Tom and Daisy. They believe in the status and all those things, luxurious life. And another side, west egg is reflect the new money. It means a self-made rich person. So it reflect in the character of Jack Gatsby. So we can say that the old money, it means the Tom and Daisy can't accept the richness of Jack Gatsby because they give importance to status and luxurious life, but not give importance. And in the novel, we can also notice that Tom called Jay Gatsby to old sport. So it reflects the rejection of Tom to Jay Gatsby. Gatsby struggled through the wealthy. Gatsby remains an outsider to the aristocratic world of old money due to his humble origins. The working class character like George and Martin Wilson are trapped in poverty and their dreams are crushed by the wealth driven world around them. So here is the one another quote from the novel. Her voice is full of money. It's told by Jay Gatsby. And when Jay Gatsby, Tom, and Daisy are talk, so at that time Daisy select Tom. So at that time Tom suddenly says that Daisy want money, sympathy, and luxurious life. So it Gatsby told for Daisy. Gatsby's dream versus reality. Gatsby's dream is built on the belief that he can recreate the past and win Daisy's love through the wealth. He sees Daisy as an ultimate symbol of success, imagining that once he achieves a financial status, she will return Daisy in his life. So the green light as a symbol of a Daisy's dog represent this dream always within the sight but just out of reach. So, however, reality shatters Gatsby's ideal. Daisy is too deeply attached to her privileged world and unwilling to leave Tom. So, Gatsby's wealth, despite being immense, cannot grant him to true acceptance into old money allied. So here we can notice that Daisy's rejection of Jay Gatsby and Jay Gatsby's desire to get Daisy after if he got wealth, so he can easily get Daisy, but it can't happen. So here is the dialogue but told by Jay Gatsby. Nick Carraway said this: "You can't repeat the past." But then Jay Gatsby repeat it. No, you can repeat your past. Of course, you can. So, to conclusion, F. Scott Fitzgerald critique how society, particularly the jazz age of the 1920, by the exposing Themes like materialism and the corruption of American dream and rigid social hierarchies. In The Great Gatsby, he highlights the emptiness behind wealth and ambition, as seen in Gatsby's in the lonely pursuit of love and success. Fitzgerald also underscores the moral decay and superficial relationship of the characters, revealing the darker side of the glamorous hedonistic era. These are my references, and thank you. If anyone have question, please ask.
So my question is, how do Tom and Daisy actions in The Great Gatsby demonstrate that wealth does not ensure morality?
So, yes, Nikita. In the novel Great Gatsby, we can find in the Tom and Daisy's character, they both are irresponsible because in their married life, we can also notice that corruption. Tom has extramarital affair, and Daisy also married with Tom. Why? Because of luxurious life and secure his life. And at that time, the death of Jay Gatsby, they also escaped from the reality. So we can say that they are irresponsible people in the novel.
So, Nista, my question is, was Jay Gatsby true in all aspects of his life, or was he living a lie?
Yes. From my point of view, Jay Gatsby, in many points, he was true, but in any other points, he was wrong. Why? Because he was genuine in his love, but his desire to get Daisy after, if he get wealth and he re-get the Daisy in his life, it is wrong because Daisy move on, and she select the luxurious life also. And in the working in his work, we can say that after his death, his father also told his routine life for get success. So in that time, in that side, we can say that Jay Gatsby was true, but he after his success, he hid his identity, his father and his poorness, and also his studies of his studies in university. So at that time, he was wrong. Thank you.
Okay, so good evening everybody. This is Rajdeep Bawaliya, and today I am going to present on the topic Ambition and Corruption, a comparative analysis of the Great Gatsby and the Wolf of Wall Street. Here are my academic details and presentation details, table of contents, introduction. So, setting the stage, as Bewley highlights that the Great Gatsby embodies a criticism of American experience and the withering of the American dream. So, both works critique the American dream, revealing how ambition and corruption shape individual fates and cultural values and dual narratives. So, Fitzgerald's novel and Scorsese's film reinterpret ambition through contrasting yet intertwined perspectives, and each narrative exposes the allure of success while unmasking the moral decay beneath a glittering surface. And core themes. So ambition fuels personal desire while corruption undermines integrity, creating a tragic interplay. So the narratives merge personal longing with societal decay to challenge our understanding of success. And then comparative lens. So by juxtaposing Gatsby's romantic idealism with Belfort's ruthless greed, the work invite a deeper reflection on the American ethos. Here is my research question: that to what extent do the Great Gatsby and the Wolf of Wall Street portray unbridled ambition as the catalyst for systemic corruption within the American dream? With the hypothesis that both works demonstrate that when ambition is pursued without ethical restraint, it inevitably morphs the American dream into a conduit for a personal downfall and societal decay. Here is my literature review slides. And ambition in the Great Gatsby, the American dream. So Gatsby's vision. So Gatsby never succeeds in seeing through the shame of his world. So his relentless pursuit of wealth and love mirrors the fragile hope embedded in the American dream and pursuit of idealism. So Gatsby's ambition is depicted as a romantic baptism of a desire for a reality that stubbornly remains out of his sight. And his dreams are grand yet ultimately unattainable, revealing the tension between idealism and reality. Then social ascent. So Gatsby's elevation through America's economic divisions indicates his ambition. And then obsessive desire. So the longing for Daisy encapsulates his yearning for both love and social validation. So this desire drives him to reconstruct his identity, making ambition both a personal and a societal force. Then corruption in the Great Gatsby, the hidden cost of ambition. So dirty business. So as Morales highlights that Gatsby generates his fortune from his dirty business. Nevertheless, his corrupt actions merge from other directions as well. So his wealth built on illegal activities highlights the moral compromises behind his glamorous persona and the corrupted dream. So ambition in the Great Gatsby does not stand alone. It requires corruption to complete the equation. And so his journey shows that the pursuit of success can lead ethical decay and personal tragedy. And a false prophet. So Pearson notes that Gatsby is a false prophet of the American dream. And his idealism is tainted by the systemic corruption inherent in his society and symbolic decay. So the green light, once a beacon of hope, becomes emblematic of a corrupted ambition. So this transformation symbolizes how even the pursuit of dreams can be subverted by unethical means. Then ambition in the Wolf of Wall Street and the pursuit of excess. So rise to power. So the film chronicles Belfort's meteoric ascent, where ambition is selling garbage to garbage men and making money hand over first. So Belfort's drive is fueled by an unyielding desire for wealth and recognition set against a backdrop of excess, then unbridled desire. So Belfort's ambition is the desire to make the most of his potential as he chases money and luxury. So his single-minded focus on profit eclipses traditional moral considerations, reflecting a hyperbolic American success story. Then lifestyle of excess. So the film portrays an environment of continuous portraying partying and hedonism that mirrors his insatiable ambition. So this depiction serves as a critique of a culture that equates self-worth with material gain. Then financial frenzy. So Belfort's journey, marked by high pressure sales and illegal practices, underscores ambition's dark side. Then corruption in the Wolf of Wall Street, excess and ethical decline. So systematic fraud. So Belfort's firm, which is Stratton Oakmont, is synonymous with rampant fraud and corruption. So the film details how unethical business practices drive his success and eventual downfall. Then moral bankruptcy. So his world is filled with 3 hours of cash, drugs, hookers, and repeat. So this relentless cycle of indulgence highlights the erosion of traditional values in the face of greed and consequences of corruption. So the illegal operations and subsequent downfall underline that unethical ambition ultimately leads to ruin. So Belfort's collapse is a direct consequence of his unchecked moral decay and fraud behavior. And cultural reflection. So the film critiques a corporate culture that prizes reputation and profit over ethical conduct. So it serves as a cautionary tale about the pearls of prioritizing success without accountability. And comparative analysis, ambition across narratives. So dual facets of ambition. So both Gatsby and Belfort exhibit a relentless drive that propels them toward wealth and status. So while Gatsby's ambition is intertwined with personal love and societal acceptance, Belfort's is marked by a lust for money and power. Then personal versus corporate dreams. So Gatsby's idealistic quest contrast sharply with Belfort's pragmatic profit-driven pursuits. So this comparison reveals how ambition can be both a romantic aspiration and a catalyst for unethical behavior. Then critical reflections. So scholars note that ambition in both narratives exposes inherent vulnerabilities in the American dream and the impact on identity. So their ambitious quest for both characters to reconstruct their identities, albeit with drastically different outcomes. So this transformative process underscores the cost of chasing a dream at any price. Then corruption as a byproduct of ambition. So ethical erosion. So in both works, the quest for success is inextricably linked with corrupt practices. In Gatsby's illegal dealing and Belfort's financial fraud. So their stories illustrate that ambition unchecked by morality inevitably leads to personal and social decay. Then symbolism of corruption. So the corrupted green light in Gatsby and the debauched excess in Belfort's world serve as a powerful metaphors for lost ideals. Then tragic outcomes. So both characters' downfalls are a testament to the destructive interplay between ambition and corruption. So their fates warn that the cost of unethical ambition is not only personal ruin but also broader societal critics. Then scholarly insights that critics argue that both narratives serves as a cautionary tales about the perils of sacrificing integrity for success. So then intersections, the American dream and its discontents. So critique of idealism. So both works dissect the myth of the American dream, revealing its inherent contradictions and vulnerabilities. So they expose how the promise of limitless opportunity is marred by class divisions and moral decay. Then cultural commentary. So the clash between old money and new money in Gatsby and the excesses of Wall Street in Belfort's tale reflect deep seated societal tensions. And so these narratives critique a system that rewards ambition while neglecting ethical consideration and environmental and social costs. So scholars note that the voracious pursuit of wealth often results in both environmental degradation and social fragmentation. So this observation challenges the sustainability of a dream built on the exploitation and enduring relevance. So the enduring appeal of these narratives lies in their capacity to mirror contemporary societal issues. Conclusion. So both Gatsby and Belfort illustrate that the pursuit of greatness is fraught with ethical compromises and inevitable downfall. So their stories remind us that unchecked ambition, when fueled by corruption, ultimately destroys its own promise and a dual legacy. So the narrative serves as a mirror to a society that glorifies wealth while ignoring the moral decay beneath its surface. So they challenge us to question whether true success can be achieved without sacrificing core values and a critical call to action. So reflecting on these works inspires a call for a greater ethical awareness in the relentless chase for success. So it is a reminder to balance ambition with accountability and integrity in both personal and societal pursuits. Then enduring lessons. So the tragic fates of both characters offer enduring lessons on the importance of preserving human dignity in the face of overwhelming desire. So here are some learning outcomes. First, personal reflection on ambition. So understanding how both Gatsby's and Belfort's quest reveal the fine line between aspiration and ethical compromise has led me to reconsider my own ambition. So I now appreciate the importance of aligning personal goals with integrity and recognize the cost of unchecked desire for success. And then ethical reconsideration. So exploring the moral decay depicted in both works has shifted my view on success, highlighting that true achievement must be grounded in ethical values. And then appreciation for nuanced narratives. So analyzing the contrasting portrayals of ambition in literature and film has deepened my understanding of cultural critics surrounding the American dream. So I now see how nuanced this type of storytelling can expose the societal flaws and inspire critical thinking about prevailing norms in society. Then inspiration for future endeavors. So the lessons drawn from these narratives have influenced my perspectives on professional and personal development, prompting a more conscientious approach. Here are my references. Okay, thank you everyone. Any questions?
So my question is, how might these portrayals of ambition and corruption be reinterpreted in the context of the digital era and social media influences?
So, in the digital era, ambition is often fueled by the desire for online popularity and instant rewards. And social media can sometimes glamorize unethical action if they bring quick fame. So this portrayal can be reinterpreted as reflections of how technology changes our own ideas of success and morality.
So my question is, how would integrating diverse cultural or a non-American perspective reshape our understanding of the American dream's corruption?
So integrating diverse cultural or non-American views would broaden our understanding of ambition and corruption. And different cultures might stress on community values and ethical behavior over individual success. And this approach can be seen rein, uh, reinterpreted by society that how different global views are affected on American dreams corruption as by showing American dream as one perspective among many global views on ambition.
Okay, a very quick feedback. It is very late, around 7 o'clock now. Yeah, so okay, so in the last presentation, we had a good slide on learning outcome. Okay, so this also is a good idea which can be adopted when you put, and it was well written also, that what way from reading of a text, what can be the personal learning outcome. Okay? Secondly, we have seen that in Shruti's presentation, she has also made very good use of resource. When we say, when you cite from the source, you have to show. So the topic was lighting the cave. So when you strike a new idea or a new concept, the question that comes in the mind is that from where did you get that idea? Like Mita was talking about mythology and other thing, or Tanvi was talking about digital age and Westland. So from where you got this idea? It seems that you asked ChatGPT, and ChatGPT has given you, and then you have brought the thing, and then separately you have collected some slides, and that you have given. No connection in between. But when we see that you have taken something from the article and then you use ChatGPT to write it in a proper order, then it is good. Taking everything from ChatGPT instead of prompting ChatGPT that I want this in this way, then it can become a good way of using. Otherwise, it is a bad use also. So here we can see that D'Salvo uses this phrase to symbolize how Woolf and Sackville-West illuminated each other's lives. So lightening the cave, in which context D'Salvo is using that all is brought here. That is how you have to refer to the article. It is not that only at the end you put a bracket and to write the name. It is good beginning, but what is the correct way is that you are referring to the person, what you are taking from that article, why are you taking that article, to explain what concept you are using, that should be made clear. That is the correct way of citations and other things also. Nikita also had presented well. In Devangi's slide also we had this. The term jazz age was coined by F. Scott Fitzgerald. So the question comes, when and where? When he coined, where he coined, he might have written something from where. So that is where the source is required. So why we say the source? So when we say we claim something, so the question comes that how do you claim? How do you come to know? રાત્રે સ્વપ્ન તો ન આવ્યું હોય આપણને કે આમ કંઈક છે એટલે કરીએ, ના કંઈક વાંચ્યું છે, ક્યાંક સાંભળ્યું છે એટલે આપણને એ આવે. તો એ શું છે? You have to reach there. That is called research writing or research presentations. Krishna, so I think you also have used some tool to generate your slides, because this with 300 plus is not understood. Why this 3 or 100 plus is written there in the slide? I think it is a kind of a template. And then that has come, so you forgot to remove that also. So this is how we feel. Like if you are using some such templates, then you have to be very careful that what is remaining there, what you are replacing, you have to carefully read everything also. Otherwise, 100 plus enduring relevance, 3 key themes, but within that you are writing summary of the poems only. So there is no connection with that also. Shatakshi had some spelling problems, spelling errors, so you have to see that before you upload online. ROZMIN also had a good topic, time and as disruption, but a specific source was missing. Who is talking about this? Time as a disrupting agency, and how you used in these 3 works, Orlando, Ulysses, this. In citation also, author names were missing. Nirali had a good topic, but it was again very haphazard. Myth, you were talking about modern literature. But in modern literature, if you see the examples that you have given, you talked about Chinese work, Invest Teacher of the Gods. That was written in 16th century. And you referred to another work, Shadow of Fog, that was in 21st century. So what is your range of modern literature? In our syllabus, modern literature means 1920s, 1930s. That is modern. Then by 1950, we reach to postmodern era. Before that, there is no modernity. That is Victorian era. So you picked up 500 years as an example of modern literature and mythology. So that you have to be very careful. We have defined this. Modern literature means what? It is something that is written around First World War. And after Second World War, it goes into postmodernity also. Okay, so that was fine. Okay, okay, so we end today. One student has not given the presentation. She might give tomorrow or this. So be careful when you are doing the evaluation. Keep it empty. You can do the editing work tomorrow. This.